Ding, 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 ding. Welcome everybody to this week's version of WN95HL's season review so far to date. We have the power rankings. We have some new details on the standings, the Google Sheet. We have some statistics to throw out, and also we have some award updates. So first off, guys, we're going to talk about what's going on in the league. A lot of you have been going in and seeing if the stats are up, seeing how everything's working, seeing how your players are matching up against other teams. However, I've been doing some background modifications to allow stuff to calculate quicker so you can get your box score fix a lot quicker. I know Halifax, being on the golf course, box scores don't go as far as your golf game. However, everybody, so let's kick it off this week's version, and we're taking a quick look at the standings. And you can see how everything's kind of rolling out so far. We have in the Conn Smythe division in the East, we have the Highland Wolf being quickly chased by the Renfrew Creamery Kings, led by LHX. In the Art Ross division, it's not my fault, but the Orlando Cyclones are running away with the division. However, having 16 games in hand for everybody else and probably more games than that in hand to catch up, it might be diminishing pretty quickly, that lead. Over into the West, the Stanley Division, the Cologne High are up in their division by 12 points over the California Golden Seals, led by Bombjack. However, their games are equal, so that can quickly diminish by the other teams behind him. Mike Vick EBC has joined the fray with a few of his early games, and he's off to a strong start at 3-1. And also, you fall into the Hart division with the Sumter Trash, led by the Pink Elephants, who are taking a lead in their division with 21 points. So far, the league has been off to a roaring start. We have played 141 games of our 552 in the first week alone. So at this pace, we'll probably be done in a month. Not likely, but always wishful. So then moving on to the playoff tab, you guys might not have seen it. It's something new that I've put in recently. It just gives us kind of a look to see what the division is going, the playoff bracket's going to look like. It will be the top 16. Everybody's asking top 8, top this. It's the top 16. Hines, I know you've been preaching it. However, you're in the top 16. Some other people might complain about it. You're in the top 16 as well. So let's just keep the focus on playing on our games, and we'll see how everything else rolls out throughout the season. Moving on to our next tabs, we have some season awards. I'm going to provide you guys with a little bit of a snapshot right now of where everybody sits with their awards. First award to the bucket is called the Brick Wall Award. Top goaltender, best goals against average in the league. And that's going to fall in right now with Ed Belfour, led by LHX, Martin Brodeur from the Cologne High, and Dominic Hasek. If you do not see your players in this, do not be worried about it. It's based on how many games have been played, how many statistics they have. Obviously, some statistics are going to be very misleading at the beginning of the year. We'll find out more in the mid-season to three-quarter mark to see where these guys actually hold up, or do they have the staying power. The next award is the Sniper Trophy. This has been a hot discussion. There's been some players I would want to put on this list, but it's based on goals, obviously. Brett Hull, he seems to be picking up steam right at the right time. Let's see if he has the staying power to keep that lead for the rest of the season. We have an unlikely guy in the scoring lead with Owen Nolan, who's been brought up by the Orlando Cyclones, has been a menace in the middle for a lot of teams. And then Mr. Gary Roberts, I would like to call him Mr. Rogers, but he's just been lighting up the scoreboard. If anybody has noticed recently, he just put up an 8 spot. That's right, an 8-goal game in his last one that he put. Scored all the goals for the LHX. No, not for LHX. Yeah, for LHX. For the Renfrew Creamery Kings. There's a few guys I had left off this list. It's not because I didn't want to put them on, but Pavel Bure from the Sumter Trash has been blazing up the score charts recently. Valerie Zelapukin for the Sunnyvale Shithawks have been in there as well. Our next category, we fall into the Too Touchy Cup, inspired by my wife. Because most people that are very defensive are a little touchy. They're sensitive to their feelings. However, and this means that it's a lot more important because it's not only based on how many points you can put up a defenseman, it also is on the basis of your goaltender. So it will be total points and goals against average combined. Whoever has a better differential in a sense, and if you're going to ask me how I calculate that, that's for me to decide and you to find out. So the lead in the way is Gary Suter from the Highland, Peter Svoboda from the Renfrew Creamery Kings, and Vladimir Malikov, who I think is a dark horse in winning this award because he has just been putting up a lot of nice goals. Suter's been putting up assists, but a lot of people like a championship defensive player with a goal-scoring touch. Our next category, I'm going to just reduce these down a little bit so we can see everything pop up. Our next category is the top specialist. This is a person who has scored power play points and shorthanded points. So that would go into our top three right now at this mark is Pavel Bure from the Sumter Trash, Wendell Clark from the Highland Wolf, and Teemu Selanne from the Orlando Cyclones. Our next category, the Street Fighter Award. You might see a little typo in there. I forgot to take out my M, which maybe for next time I'll do that before doing the video. Is Matthew Schneider, Tony Amonte, both from the Cyclones, and then Luke Richardson from the Dinkelberg Dinkelberries. And some of these award names, I just thought, you know what, give it a little bit more of a catchy name instead of maybe the Lady Bing would have been nice, but I like people that like fighting. And since we don't have fighting in 95, we have to only hope for something that has an award that has some kind of fighting involved with it. Our next award falls into the Royal Flush Trophy. This is most points. It's your new Hart Trophy. It is led by Brett Hall from the Highland, Owen Nolan from Orlando, and Valerie Zelepukin from the Sunnyvale Shithawks. Zelepukin, every time I hear his name, I want to puke. But the guy's puking up points, so let's just keep that rolling. Our next category is Best Record. These are the teams with the best record as of now based on points. That's all. Only based on points. I know the Minnesota Mullets are on a hot streak. I know that who else has been doing very well lately? It has been the Minnesota Moose who have been putting up some points as well. The Anaheim Ducks only played 4 games but are 3-1. You put those kind of things over a whole season, you're looking at a team who could be in the mid-30 wins total, which is quite dangerous to look at in the league. Then you also move into our next category, the Wayne Gretzky Award. A Wayne Gretzky Award is going to be basically your Art Ross, and if everybody knows hockey well enough, the great one is the great one for a reason because of his playoff performances over his career. Our next category is the Gentleman's Cup. This goes to a player who will be voted on by all the teams in the league at the end of the season. However, based on my perception so far with everybody's interactions in the league, what they've contributed to the league, and what they've done to help out with everything they can. Heinz, I'm sorry I left you out. However, there's 3 other guys I thought as well that should be included in this. Heinz, you have a participation award so far, but man, you're in there as well. You know what? Fuck it. I'm going to put it in now. I have a 4th spot, so I think it's only reasonable. He's helped me with some of the stat days. He's helped with did some Twitch videos yesterday as well for myself and Aftershock, as well as Aftershock and McLean for 2 games. I'll put the logo in afterwards. But Halifax, you've brought some 94 information that's been very helpful for our 95 league. You've brought some comedy to the league, which has been very refreshing. Everybody's brought their own little swagger, but Halifax, just with your intro versions for your draft picks, that alone deserves a spot in this ranking. Sammy Smith, you've only played, how many games have you played? And it's only been like 4 days. You've played 16. So I'm going to give you that spot. And then my beloved, Aftershock's like a brother to me. And the reason for that, I don't think this league would be running without him. And I only say that because nobody would have been set up on RetroArch. Nobody would have been really set up with the firewall, the port forwarding. Some of you guys might have already known that, but I'm telling you right now, we're probably 75% of the league would not have gone through with the league because they couldn't get that going. So Aftershock, right now, I think you're the league's best coach because of that attribute, as well as your gameplay. You don't quit and you stay with it. So congrats on this, guys, so far. And in our last one, in our honor of our first league, we have the Bruley Cup. That's going to be handed to the league champion. I don't know if it's going to be a dingus. I don't know if it's going to be a freaking afro. I don't know. We'll have to find out. But so far, these kind of awards are going to be updated through the quarter mark, mid-season mark, three-quarter mark, and then we'll have our finalists, which will be at the end of the season, and then the winners will be announced after the playoffs. Our next tab, I think a lot of people will leave the power rankings for last. I'm going to go to the next one, our leaderboard. This will be updated. Don't worry, once I get all the stats corrected, this will be updated. We have our record book, has been updated. We can see here Mr. Roberts has an 8-point game and an 8-goal game, and in that same game he had 15 shots. And since the Minnesota Moose have started playing their games, they've been thumping people. And I'm not talking 38 hits in one game. I'm talking he's already over 30 in a couple. The Sumter Trash, sorry for your 8-goal thrashing that you got to the hands of LHX and the Renfrew Creamery Kings. And Aftershock with your Troy City Titans, you guys put up a wall in this game. That 27 and 29, that's in one game. So his goaltender was rock solid in that game. The team stats, this is automatically being pulled from all the box scores I've created. So the box scores you will see, I'll just show you guys quickly. Please stay out of these tabs until I get it up to date. Player stats will be the same thing. It's being pulled from your team tab everywhere. So automatically these things will be populated. And our next one is our schedules. This here I will update. This will be the check marks. You're the home team, you host the team, you check mark it off. It basically allows us knowing that game's been taken care of. And then everybody's got their tabs along the bottom. Here we'll have your Troy Hill Teabaggers. You'll have your schedule. You'll have your player stats. Over here, I will close it. This is so I can create the box scores and everything populates into this document, then pulls into the stats, and then everything else will be fine and dandy. So going back now for the moment of truth, everybody wants to know the power rankings. Everybody wants to know what's going on, and I just messed it up. And so we're going to go like this. Everybody kind of saw it already. If you paused your video, you would have saw it. I'm screwed. So basically now, the thing we're going to do is every week I'm going to do this. And based on your rankings, not how many games you've played and everything else like that, everything's taken in consideration. So right now, you're going to see the two bottom spots. Leviathan, you haven't played a game yet. However, I know you're trying to. People are trying to get in there. Don't fret. We're going to get you some games in and you're going to get out of that ranking. Einstein, you've gone MIA. I don't know where you've been, but you're falling out of the rankings from 14 to 23. The Benetton Dusters, if anybody knows anybody who wants to take over a team, this is your team you can take over because one game played, out of the league already. We're not going to talk about this one anymore. We'll just move on. The G-Lock in the Pensacola Ice Flyers. Rocky start to the season, showing promise. Stay off your Xbox. Play a PC. Xbox has been helping, but you know what? Let's play with a PC. Gambini and the Brantford Smoke. A rocky start, but Gambini's a solid player. He's going to get back. This is just a blip on the long road ahead of him climbing the ranks again. B. Clinton 1. You've dropped out of the rankings. You've only played 2 games. So don't fret. It's not based on your performance whatsoever, and you split your first 2 games. So I wouldn't worry about your ranking here. B. Clinton. You've played only 1 game. So your ranking, you're a bit ahead of your brother. However, it's based also on that the 1 game that you did play, you won. Our next one, Adolf Oliver Nipples. Your team, the Pit. You're not in last anymore, despite your record. You've been participating. You're playing. Win it for Forsberg. Might still happen, but you're climbing the ranks. Your performance is showing. You're a solid player, and you have, like you said, the worst of the rest. It would probably be considered it. Mike Vick EBC with the New York EBC. You started out already the season 3-1. You're climbing the ranks already out of 20th to 16. Dingleberries climbing out, they're participating. I'm surprised. However, at the same time too, he's been putting up some good games. Surprisingly, a lot of people are shocked based on his involvement in the chat boxes and talking about dingleberries and everything else in between. But he's moving up to 15th from 21st. The Maximals, Minnesota Maximals, were led by Sammy Smith. Sammy, don't worry. Sometimes it takes a bit to get going. You drop from 5 to 14, but your participation alone is deserving of a much higher rating. The Troy City Titans, led by Aftershock. Rocky season, there's been mixed results in your games, given the reason of a drop 2 in the rankings. However, there's a lot of promise in a guy who's able to knock off a few of the top teams already, and this will only improve. We have the Anaheim Ducks down from 9 to 12. It's not a knock on King Raph. Only had 4 games played so far. However, 3-1. Just the teams ahead of them have participated a lot more at this moment and have put up more wins. The Minnesota Moose dropping from 1 to 11. Same thing again. The amount of games you've played in comparison to the people ahead of you has affected this rating. The Halifax Schooners. This is where we start getting into the guys who have played more than 10 games and their impact on the league has been relevant, and it also impacts the awards, the player stats, the player rankings, the record holders, everything. And Halifax, you're bringing a swagger to the league that we're going to love for a very long time. And this is just the beginning for you in 95 as being a 94 player for most of your online career. The Troy Hill Teabaggers. James, you don't need to talk about being at the bottom anymore. You've jumped from 17 to 9. Hard competitor. Very, very competitive. California Golden Seals led by Bombjack. Slight drop off, however, staying competitive in all his games, putting a lot of challenging top end teams to the brinks, beating some of them as well, and it's just golden up going for them. Even though Lindros is getting bullied by the smaller guys, I don't believe that it's going to have an impact on his late season run, but we'll see how the rest of the season moves along. The Minnesota Mullets. I don't know what happened to those 1970 sideburns and all the vermouth and gin and everything else like that, or whiskey, however you want to see it. But the Viking power of those Mullets are kicking into high gear after last night's 5-0-1 record, led by Segathon, jumping 8 spots. Then we move to the Sumter Trash with the Pink Elephants, a hard team to determine what they are. Are they a title contender? Are they a stepping block for those title teams? Or are they a Cinderella team that might just stumble? We don't know. We're going to find out. This is the one team I want to keep my eye on for the rest of the year. And the logo's pretty cool. The Sunnyvale Shithawks falls into number 5 in our rankings. And Mike Klein, despite not hosting, despite not being able to save state, he's saving a lot of his goal scoring. He's been racking up some goals. And he's had some really, really tough battles as well. And I think this is the point of the rankings where we start talking about B passes and backhanders in front of the net. Shithawks topped it off. Beware of the Shithawks. The Killorn High, led by Hines and our famous Twitch announcer, who I think he has a very strong career ahead of him in announcing, takes the 4th spot. Being very, very difficult to play against. Martin Broder is leading the way with him, and Dougie Gilmore is really helping him lead the charge. And at this point now, we're going to fall into our top 3. These 3 have played the most games. These 3 have some of the oddest talent, I would say. As you saw in the awards, Owen Nolan, I don't know where the hell he came from, but he's producing. Eddie Belfour, it's not odd, it's predicted. And Gary Roberts is another one. I have no idea. Stefan Richier's got to stop taking Brett Hall's goals, or Highland's going to be pissed off with potentially losing the Sniper Trophy for that. And Wendell Clark, who knows? But number 3 spot is taken home by my Orlando Cyclones. Played the most games, so obviously I think I should be in the least in the top 3, producing a decent record and some of the better goal scorers in the league as of right now. Then we move into the Highland Wolf in number 2. The Brett Hall, Owen Nolan discussion has been going on for a week. I don't know if it'll be going on for week 2. However, Pavel Bure and Gary Roberts have something to say about that, and there's some other contenders that are going to come up that rankings very quickly. And taking our top spot is the Renfrew Creamery Kings, who I think in my honest eyes so far of playing everybody, is the potential challenger for the title. Not because he's ranked number one, not because he has probably one of the better records in the league. He's got the best goaltender. He's got a shining star in Gary Roberts, and his goals for and goals against differential speaks for itself. So, given that, if you guys have anything that you want to talk about, anything you want to say, maybe we can start holding a weekly call with one of the other coaches and start talking about this stuff. And also, if you guys want to see anything new on the league Google sheet, let's do it. And I do have a few things up my sleeve. I'm going to announce it now because I think everyone's going to ask about it. End of the season, we're going to have an all-star game. We're going to have it as the top 2 teams from each conference are going to be the players playing head-to-head. So it's 2-on-2. That'll be our playoff or all-star game. And it'll be consisting of 1 player from each team. So whoever your best player is, that's going to be your player going to be allocated to the all-star game. Played in the game for the 2-on-2. Also, the thing we're going to be doing is I'm going to be updating the Discord a little bit just to clean it up, and we're going to see how everything goes. But I'm enjoying everything. Keep tight. The box scores will be updated as frequently as I can, and we'll see you guys next week on another version with WN95HL weekly report. See you next week, guys. This is your host, Ultra Magnus.